Okay, so continuing on, finding confidence intervals, but this time we're going to look for confidence intervals for estimating the population mean mu. To do this, we need to make sure that the following conditions hold. Again, we need to make sure our sample is being taken as a simple random sample. The population standard deviation is known, or the population sample size is greater than 30. If the population standard deviation is not known, and if you do not know the population mean, you often do not know the population standard deviation. As long as the sample size is greater than 30, we can use the sample standard deviation as a good estimate. The population that we're drawing from must be normally distributed, and then our point estimate is the sample mean. So again, the concept of a confidence interval for finding the population, estimating the population mean, is similar to the procedures that we did for estimating the population proportion. It is a point estimate plus or minus a margin of error. It's just that our formulas are different. This is the formula for the margin of error for estimating the population mean with sigma known. Now remember, again, you can substitute in S as long as n is greater than 30. This is our critical value, population standard deviation divided by the square root of n. That is our margin of error. And then our confidence interval is point estimate, sample mean, plus or minus the margin of error to get our lower limit and our upper limit for this range of values. All right, so let's first see if you understand how the formulas work, right? We're going to get Minitab to do this in a minute, but let's just see if you understand how to use these numbers in the formula for the margin of error. Okay, so pause this for just a minute and see if you can find the margin of error by hand. All right, so did you do that the critical value, the margin of error was equal to the critical value. What was the critical value for 95%? It was 1.96 times the sample standard deviation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, divided by the square root of 100, okay? And did you get 24 at 19.62? I hope so. Now let's find the lower confidence interval limit for this same problem. Remember what you're doing. Taking the point estimate minus the margin of error that you found. So stop the PowerPoint for just a minute and see what you get. Did you get 92,580.38? Well, I hope so. Now, we're really going to use Minitab because Minitab has all these formulas already programmed into the software program. So let's see how we use Minitab to find a confidence interval for estimating the population mean using the Z distribution, the standard normal distribution. You go to Stat, Basic Stat, and one of your choices is one sample Z. You enter in the sample size, the sample mean, and the standard deviation. Go to Options, select the appropriate confidence level, and be sure that the alternative is set to not equal. All right, so let's do the same example we just did a minute ago by hand. Go to Stat, Basic Stat, one sample Z. The sample size was 100, the sample mean was 95,000, and the population standard deviation was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our confidence level was 95, so pause the PowerPoint for just a minute, go to Minitab, put these numbers in and see what you get. All right, so hopefully you got this as your confidence interval, your 95% confidence interval. It's the same as the one we calculated by hand. And remember, when we're doing Minitab, it is easier to find the confidence interval first and then go back and find the margin of error by using the upper limit minus the lower limit divided by 2. Okay, so you found a confidence interval by hand and you found a confidence interval for estimating the population mean mu by Minitab. Now, again, sometimes we need to know the minimum sample size necessary for a given margin of error. Suppose we know we need to have our estimate to be within a given value. That's E. So it's the critical value times the standard deviation divided by the given margin of error, all in the quantity squared, and then remember to round up. All right, so this is not a Minitab problem. You have to actually use your calculator to find this value. So remember, sample sizes must be integers, and you always have to round up. So let's try an example. Find the minimum sample size needed to estimate the mean if the margin of error has to be 125 and our confidence level is 95% and the population standard deviation is given to be 500. Pause the PowerPoint for just a minute. Try the formula. Hopefully you got 62 or you rounded up to 62. Remember, the critical value for 95% is 1.96 times 500 divided by 125, and then you squared that whole quantity and then rounded up. And you should have gotten 62. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture on estimating the population mean when you are given or you know the population standard deviation or the sample size is at least 30.